76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Is that you? I'm the CEO of 5 different companies. I wasn't born into it. We lived on welfare, but I wanted more. I created this show, The School of Wealth, helping people escape poverty like I did. I want to help you out of that consumer debt, teach you how to increase your credit score, teach you how to make more money at your current job or your current business, and then how to actually create generational wealth without changing your lifestyle. It is going to be a lot of fun. This is not like regular school. Hey, I'm Randy Lambeth, and this is The School of Wealth. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Randy Lambeth. Today, I got two guests on the show, two guests that I've been wanting to get on the show for a while, and it's perfect timing because as the recording, taxes are due, even though yesterday they did extend it out 33 days. So now taxes are due May 17th instead of April 15th. It's not really going to make much of a difference. But if you owe taxes, if you know somebody owes back taxes, you're going to want to listen to today's show because it's all about tax relief. So it's my pleasure to have John Cristadoro from Alliance Tax Solutions and Deaphalis Sample. What's up, brothers?
What's going on, man?
My brothers from another mother.
Yes, indeed.
We kind of look alike, right, D? I mean,
I think it's
you got a little bit darker complexion than me.
Yeah, I think I stayed a little bit longer in the sun.
Yeah, a little bit more in the sun. And John, look at you in that both of you guys are wearing 3-piece suits.
Listen, we know we know your outfit game, Rondi. We figured if we're gonna be on your show. If we're not trying to bring it, then we're just gonna look like scrubs. I can't do that.
You know, I'm usually the one all dressed up, and you guys are making me look like a slob. That's all right. But the question is, do you have your name, title, and company on the inside of those jackets?
Yes, indeed.
CD, you got it?
So not just the jacket, but I could also show you the shirt, the logo.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can see the logo. You see the logo?
There we go.
You see it?
Taking it. Yes, I do.
It's there. It's there. It's camouflaged, but it's there.
Uh-huh.
Rondi, you know the purpose behind that. As a matter of fact, you've noticed so long, even prior to us launching this company together. With that, there's ways to figure out how to have a uniform. That's an expense, and I'm sure you've told your listeners many times before, but we epitomize that, and we're always looking for opportunities to reduce exposure through business expenses.
Absolutely.
Right. Taxes are our largest expense. Do you guys see that Biden is released today? It was a few months ago. He said he's only going to raise the tax on people that's over 400,000. Today he said, wait. Now it's $200,000. Yeah, dropped it to 200.
Wow.
I'll tell you, I had a mixed thought when Biden was elected. As a business owner and true entrepreneurs, in my opinion, we will excel no matter who's in office. We have preferences, no matter what those are, but we will excel if you adjust and you pivot as necessary. And we knew from our tax company that it's only going to get better from our revenue perspective, because no matter who you voted for, the Democrats always run on additional spending. Where are you getting money to spend? By taxation, and they feel as though that's how they're going to get it. So if they change the code, which they all do, all of them, they all do, which makes it more complicated, which unfortunately gets people into more issues, which then turns more potential clients in for us. It's an unfortunate thing, but it happens nonetheless. So it's going to happen, especially now where things are getting reversed and changed and tax codes are changing and whatever the case may be. So.
Well, even the more complicated it gets, it makes it more difficult for the IRS to interpret it because they're constantly changing, which in turn creates more problems for our potential clients or clients. And so, again, just to piggyback on what John was saying, it's just one of those unfortunate things. Yeah.
I was thinking about that today when I was doing my second 45-minute workout. I finished up 75 hard before noon today, that's my new thing, is I try to get it done before noon.
So is this your second round?
This is my 4th time doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to look like you, man. 230
Oh
pounds,
man, oh man, I need to cover this up.
6'3", 230 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, baby.
I know that's right, man.
You know what's crazy about it is I'm on day 65. I weigh more today than I did 65 days ago.
So it's because you're working with heavier weight.
I guess this is my fifth week in the gym at least 5 days a week, and I haven't done that since high school.
Oh wow,
So,
that's the reason.
Lean muscle.
Yeah, I mean, I look in the mirror. You know, one of the reasons that you do a progress picture is for you. It's the easiest thing to forget, and it's the number one reason people fail. And number two is for you to look at it, because you're looking at that scale.
What they are is they're pointing out the wrong metric. It's so many people, prior when I was out in Los Angeles after college trying to be a rich and famous actor and failed miserably, what I was doing between auditions and jobs is I was a personal trainer. And it's oftentimes, usually you're either a personal trainer or a waiter out in LA. But and every time someone said, I want to lose weight and so on and so forth. So I said, rather than focus on the pounds, you got to focus on the BMI, the body fat percentage and all those kind of things. And that's just the issue that people have. And when you lose weight, I just recently lost 20 pounds because due to COVID and watching Tiger King and eating bonbons till 2 a.m., I gained the weight. I got the COVID weight. And when I went back to my client who does weight loss and stuff, I had gained 1 pound of lean muscle and was down to 12.5% body fat. So I'm like, cool. If I would have focused on just the weight itself, it would have been a misnomer, if you will.
Yeah, and that's what, that's why you do the picture, because I was looking at the picture. I'm like, I can see it. I mean, when you can see it yourself, it's a big thing. Everybody else sees it first. But it's just interesting. So anyway, that was how I digressed on that. Is I was thinking, all right, so they're raising our taxes, which I really don't freaking care, because I haven't paid personal income tax in, I don't know, 20 plus years, really, relatively. It's very, very small amount considering how much money I make, but it's because I understand the tax code. A lot of guys are really into sports. I don't really care about sports. I watched the Super Bowl, first game of the year I watched, even though there really wasn't much games, but my point to it is I really don't care about sports, but I care about tax code, and I care about the game of paying less, as you guys do. You guys are experts at this. And I was thinking, it's not going to matter to me much. It'll affect my clients, which I feel bad for them. But the other thing is they're always talking about taxing the rich, these people that make over 400,000. So let's say you make $1 million a year and they add an extra 10% to your tax. So now you got to pay an extra 100 grand. Okay. Now I'm netting $900,000. What's it matter, right? It's not a lot. And how am I going to make up for it? I'm just going to charge the clients a little tiny bit more to make up $100,000 over the year. And now I'm back at $1 million net. But it's the people below that, or I lay off employees, or I cut some type of, health insurance or whatever. And so people don't realize how that truly does trickle down to the working class. It's really, when they raise taxes on the businesses and the rich, as you guys know, it trickles down to everybody else. So absolutely,
it does.
Interesting segue. So John, we've known each other for quite a while, and Dee, we've known each other for quite a while. Deaphalis and I used to do, you've been doing tax resolution stuff for how long, Deaphalis?
I've been in the industry now for the past 14 years. I started out at a company in Houston, Texas, worked at that company for 3 years, and became the number one person on the sales side of tax resolution for that company. And then I met my ex-wife there, and then she and I decided to leave the company, start our own. And then from that point, it's just kind of been history. We made a lot of mistakes along the way because we actually didn't have a mentor at the time. But through trial and error, it's a good thing that the mistakes that we made didn't actually put us out of business. And so now what actually took me 10 years with her, now that we're divorced, John and I connected, at the Board of Advisors Mastermind. And what took 10 years for me to do, connecting with John, knock on wood, 3 years and we're almost there.
Yeah. So I met you, I think I met you at a board of advisors meeting, correct, D?
Yep.
And then you started sending me business for credit repair. I started sending you business for
Yep.
tax resolution, right?
Absolutely.
So then you moved to Atlanta. You also knew John from board of advisors, and John, you have a background in radio. So you and I kind of hit it off. You did the advertising marketing side. I was doing the radio side. So tell us about, it was, what's your other company, the marketing company called?
The media agency, Alliance Activation.
That's
We've
right.
got this thing about Alliance in the,
Yeah.
those things.
Alliance Activation. So your media buyers. So some of your clients are Hooters, Heineken.
Yep.
Who else you got?
Aaron's Rent to Own. We've done programs for Coca-Cola. We're launching the Hooters, a new brand under Hooters umbrella called Hoots, which is a fast casual for them. We've signed on numerous, we just onboarded a regional beer brand called New Realm Brewery, which is really exciting. We've done a lot of different things for a lot of different clients, but yeah, so Dee and I met at Board of Advisors, same place I met you. And my previous history was media sales. As I said earlier on, when I moved to Los Angeles to be a rich and famous actor, after a period of time, I got tired of being broke. And so I started working for CBS Radio, where I represented several of the radio stations, most importantly, KFWB and the Dodger Radio Network. So I focused on working with clients, trying to sell them radio or sponsorships to the Dodgers. And so I did that for a while, working with clients like Washington Mutual, which is obviously now Chase, and Big Brothers Big Sisters and Disney. And then the guy that ran the broadcast out there got the job for Clear Channel, which is now iHeartMedia here in Atlanta. And he oversaw several of the radio stations and then oversaw the Braves broadcast. And so when he moved here, picked up the phone and said, listen, man, I need you on my team. Can you come? And I said, sure. So my 8-month pregnant wife and I packed up and moved across country and set up shop here. So after a period of time working for the radio station, it was very fulfilling. I was successful, but I always had this entrepreneurial itch, right? I wanted to do my own thing. A lot of us have the same feeling. And oftentimes, and I was just talking to my business partner on the agency side, oftentimes reps are just, it's a commoditized service, what we provide, right? And so the radio companies or TV companies or billboard companies have a great way of reminding you on a consistent basis that those are not your accounts, they're our accounts. And if you're making too much money, they change the rules of engagement. They offer you less commission, or they move that account to someone else that's more worthy, or whatever the case may be. So I struck a deal with management. I said, I'm going to go open up my own agency. Instead of schlepping specific radio stations, I'm going to listen to clients and figure out what types of marketing needs they have, whether it's radio or TV or search or social or experiential, whatever the case may be. So when I did that, I met Deaphalis at Board of Advisors, and he, as he said before, had a company going in Houston, Texas with his ex-wife, and they were doing things from a national scale. And so I came in and did an evaluation and said, listen, let's look in your backyard. And let's really focus on a great target consumer that can connect with you. So as you've noticed, he's an African-American male, very strong personality, a voice that resonates on the radio. And so we went to market on an African-American radio station, and in a very short period of time saw a pretty great response to the marketing. And so we started scaling there. And then I said, okay, well, listen, I'm a big fan. One of my clients often says R&D, right? And it's not research and development, it's rip off and duplicate, right? So I said, you're doing very well with the African-American consumer here in Houston, Texas. I live in Atlanta. It's 33% African-American. They just so happen to have the exact same radio station with the exact same radio company, Radio One. Why don't we do this? Let's test the market. You guys can set up an office at my agency. If in fact it works without doing the whole brick and mortar thing, I'll invest and we'll be partners. And both he and his now ex-wife said, that's a great idea. We tested it and within 30 days had a response. And so then they came here and they started to do that. Well, then the rules of engagement changed, and that's between Dee and his now ex-wife. But long story short, they decided it was no longer working. And so as someone that saw a huge opportunity, I went to Dee and I said, okay, well, if you guys are no longer going to do that here, let's shut yours down and I'll just stand it up. Because my expertise is marketing. His expertise is knowing the tax game and the sales. And then we'll just hire somebody to run operations and do it very effectively. So fast forward about 3.5 years, and here we are with a knock on wood, a successful resolution company.
Yeah. And I've sent, people to you. In fact, you guys are working with my mom and her husband. So
Yep.
obviously I trust you guys.
No doubt. And
You've been in business for 14 years. You've been in business, John, for quite a while.
about 10 years.
Yeah. What do you guys with the tax resolution? So Deaphalis, explain what tax resolution is for the people that are listening and watching that have no idea what that is.
So tax resolution is people who actually have a tax debt.
So they owe the IRS or the
they owe
state
the IRS
money.
they owe the IRS X amount of dollars, or they have unfiled tax returns, or maybe they have a lien or levy or garnishment in place, or they're going through an audit. That's kind of the gist of what tax resolution is. And then what we basically do is go in and resolve whatever the issue is. Most of our clients typically have unfiled tax returns. They don't really know how much they actually owe, and they don't know where to go or who to trust. And so when we get involved at the point where they respond to one of our ads via radio, TV, or the internet. Then at that point, we, they call in, talk with one of our reps. Our reps take them through an analysis to determine which is going to be the best route we need to take with resolving their particular situation. Then once they engage us, we move from there from the sales side to the support side of the business. And then that's where the work is done.
Okay. So what about, these stories? I owe the IRS $1 million. You guys are going to settle it for me for, I don't know, what, $200-300 case of beer.
So most people think that that's a hoax.
Yeah.
There's a very small percentage industry-wide where people actually get their debts settled. However, we've been very successful. As a matter of fact, this morning we had 5 individuals show up and to give us testimonials. One of those individuals was a lady who owed $22,000 to the IRS. She ended up paying $506 after we settled her debt. The other gentleman, he ended up owing the IRS, I think he said 1.8 million.
Yep.
He had a carryback of 9 million. And so we were able to go back, get it on the tax returns 3 years back so he can carry it forward. In essence, saving him a little bit more than $1 million.
Wow.
So those are the types of things that we do. But when it comes to most people, the IRS is looking for, what is your true ability to pay the money back? Do you really have the money? And if so, we want it. What we do is we're the buffer. So we get between that so that the IRS doesn't create a financial hardship for them. Well, at least we can put them on put them back on that pathway to peace by setting up some sort of installment agreement, partial payment installment agreement, or actually going into settling the debt.
Okay. Can you do anything for, go ahead, John.
I'm sorry, to Dee's point, one of the things that I wanted to touch on, because as a person that had no experience prior to us starting this company, I made some assumptions, right? And I said, okay, well, how do you owe the government money? Well, only business owners owe the government money, because those are the ones that are not paying their quarterlies or whatever, and so on and so forth. So I made the assumption only business owners / 1099 individuals owe the government money. But in fact, W-2 employees oftentimes owe the government money as well, because they put the wrong things on their tax return. They had the wrong deductions. And after a period of time, the government says, wait, hold on, we gave you a check, but in fact, you owe us. And most W-2 employees at certain, socioeconomic status, they're not putting a lot of money away. And so then what'll happen is, oh, I've got this bill saying I now owe $6,000. Where am I going to get $6,000? So generally what they do is they stick their head in the sand and they hope that it goes away. And a lot of people do that. I've done it. I've actually had to deal with my own tax problem, ironically enough, so I can speak from experience. And then it just snowballs, because once they stick their head in their sand, then they don't file the next year, because they think, if I just don't file, I will disappear. You know, like that Bart Simpson gif that he goes into the bushes and he's just gone. And so it just snowballs, and everything is hunky dory in their mind for a period of time. And then it happens. They get a letter, they get a lien, they get a garnishment. And now they're like, what in the world do I do?
Right.
So then we go in there, like Dee said, put there on the pathway to peace. But a key distinction when you ask the question, you know, I owe $1 million and sell for $500. There's a lot of things that go into that, right? And our experts are experts in trying to get to that, but there's no guarantees. So oftentimes we will decline people. We've had people that call in and say, I owe $50,000. Okay. All right. Well, first, we start the process with, well, tell us how you got into the situation, so on and so forth. And the gist of it was, well, I just didn't pay my taxes and I don't want to pay my taxes. And so I'm going to pay you guys and you're going to make it go away. And so if that's the case, we tell them, no, we don't want your money. You should just settle with the government. We can help you, put you on a properly structured payment plan. But again, we don't make any false promises or false hope, because sometimes people have unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, look at my mom. They didn't file in 14 because their garage caught on fire, and that's where they stored all their tax documents. And so the garage didn't burn down, but it smoldered and it ruined one of the boxes that caught on fire was with all their taxes. So it burnt, and they just didn't know how to get it. So then, they forgot about it. They dealt with the insurance. 2015 rolls around. Well, we didn't do it last year. And then that thing just went on for 7 years. And I just keep saying, we got to do this, because I know it just gets bigger and bigger. It's like, I think of it as the person that goes into the pantry to get something to eat, and they hit the light switch and the light burns out, and they walk out. And then every day after that, they hit the light switch and they think it's going to fix itself. It never fixes itself.
Crazy.
That's right.
Until you change the light bulb, right? Tax problems never go away.
That's exactly right. Even with those people, you have some people believe that, well, the IRS is not bothering me because they didn't get a letter, or they're flying under the radar. And so we have to be transparent and just tell them, listen, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And I'd rather be the one to be in control of how I'm going to spend my money, as opposed to the IRS telling me how they're going to take my money.
Yeah.
Be it through a levy or a wage garnishment. And so the beautiful thing about the tax industry, what I really love about it, is it's almost what I would call a recession-proof business.
Mm-hmm.
Because we built the last tax resolution company during the recession. Even during the pandemic, we've been able to be successful, and the phone is continuously ringing.
I found that I saw that last year when the pandemic was just really bad, like May, June, July. It was the best quarter of our business for 14 years of business. And it was,
wow.
It was only because people were home, and that's the problem, is like 95% of the people that go to my website fill out a form. We never get in touch with them because it's just hard to track them down. And with the pandemic, they were at home, and so they're answering their phones. So you told me what you liked about it. What do you guys not like about being entrepreneurs and business owners, and especially in the tax business? Is there anything you don't like about it?
I'll jump in there. I'll tell you what I don't like about being an entrepreneur, and then I'll also tell you what I don't like about our industry, or the service we provide. I'll start with the service we provide. We tell our clients all the time, we need you to be fully engaged in order for us to help you. And so oftentimes people, these are the same people, the same mentality that have let this fester and grow. They feel as though, I'll tell you a crazy thing. We get people sometimes that pay an engagement fee with us of thousands of dollars and then never call us back. And we're like, what are you doing? We have your money. We need to help you. We want to help you. And you don't call us back. And then that's the only reason why our biggest complaint, and this is with tax resolution firms, you've got my money. What are you doing for me? Right. And so in our system, we make it, transparent. You can log in and see what we've done and so on and so forth. And in most of the time, they have unfiled tax returns. And so how do you file a return? You have to get the information. And so our team of tax preparers are constantly on the phone. Mrs. Smith, can you please send me this? Or you said you had an expense of that. Can you please show me proof? Because you're going to get audited if not. And so then for whatever reason, they'll be out of sight, out of mind, and then re-engage us 4 weeks later and says, why haven't you done this? And so therefore, we want to help people, right? And the moment you don't help someone, they're going to tell everyone. The moment you do help someone very well, they might tell 1 or 2 people. And that's just the nature of business in general. But that's what I don't like. The consumers, our clients, that don't consider it to continue to be engaged so we can help them. What I don't like about it being an entrepreneur is typical entrepreneur stuff. I mean, Dee and I are constantly, first of all, as partners, that's a whole different dynamic. Right? We're 50-50. And as we explained before, we both came from a situation where he was a successful business owner, as was I, without a partner. We've joined forces. And then it no longer became, it's my decision. If I want to spend $5,000 on this ad, I'm going to do it. And Dee's decision is, I'm going to do it. So then we came to the conclusion, wait, hold on. I have to check with somebody.
Yeah.
And so there was sort of growing pains there, but I'll tell you, I tell people all the time, he's not like family. He is family. He is definitely family to me. And I'll kill a mofo for him. But it took some time for us to get to that spot. But as an entrepreneur, we're constantly taking risks, right? You talk about, use credit, and I listen to you all the time, and I think it's great. So we're looking at establishing lines of credit because we bootstrapped everything. We're like, we don't want to owe anybody anything. And then when COVID came along and the EIDL and the SBAs and stuff, we jumped on the bandwagon as well. And so now we see on our balance sheet, we had a $150,000 SBA loan. We owe someone money. Oh no, I don't like that, right? And so you're constantly, we open up an office, and we have our corporate office in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have an office in Houston, Texas. And now we're considering, because we did very well, so we're considering to open up other offices. But when you look at the balance sheet, revenues are here combined with the expenses of opening up an office in a city like Houston, Texas. It's constantly a give and take, that kind of thing. So that's what I don't prefer. I shouldn't say don't like, because I love being an entrepreneur, but don't prefer about business.
Mm-hmm. Like that.
That was a very challenging question, because I never thought about what I don't like about being an entrepreneur. And so I'm sitting up here, and I don't want to say nothing, because then that wouldn't be the truth. I guess it kind of boils down to, if I don't get up, I don't eat. And so I'm motivated by that. So that's not necessarily what I don't like. So I'm struggling with that. With that one. What I don't like about being an entrepreneur, because everything about being an entrepreneur, I love. Okay. Now, there are some other things that I could do better in, like a part of being an entrepreneur to me is you got to be in shape. You got to physically be in some kind of shape at some point, so you can feel good about what you're doing physically. And so if I had to call it, it would probably be what I don't like about being an entrepreneur is I don't eat right.
Yeah. I think for me, it would be, and I appreciate what you're saying, because what I love about being an entrepreneur is that it provides you problems to solve every day. And that's why I like solving problems. I love solving problems. And the best entrepreneurs out there and the most successful solve the biggest problems for the most amount of people.
Right.
I think the one thing that I am envious of with my employees is they get when they go home they're done. Like they don't think about work. When they're on vacation, they're not thinking about it. I'm obsessed with it. And so then I purposely check out. I try to check out with no cell phone, no internet, about once every quarter, but I'm still engaged with it. But then on the other side, that's what I love about it, is I'm obsessed with it and I love it. Right.
Right.
And so you don't really ever disengage. So it's
Let me
one
ask
of
you a
those.
question, Rondi. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
I love your attempt at disengaging because I've gotten your bounce back email. Due to high demand, I answer emails and da-da-da-da-da. And I've been envious of that. I'm like, that takes a large amount of cojones, right? Because I'm afraid as the business owner, and I've grown over the years. And generally, if you get more successful, you tend to, and you can determine what success is, whether it's revenue, whatever the case may be. I think success is freedom and the ability to engage with my family. And if I make enough money to allow me to do that, I'm successful. And you get to that point where you can sort of let go and not look at your phone. But just telling you, getting that bounce back from you, I'm like, wow, man, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You can say, I'm going to answer the phone between da-da-da-da-da-da. So call me then. I'm like, okay, I'll try that.
I have that on my voicemail too. I have that on my voicemail and my email, the autoresponder. I have it set on vacation mode and it responds back with, I only check email twice a day, blah, blah, certain days of the week, etc. I got that from Tim Ferriss from 4 Hour Work Week. And I've been doing that now since 2010-ish. So 11 years. I can tell you this, at first it was pretty scary telling your clients that you're not going to look at their email and you're not going to call them back. Right. But I can tell you this, John, when I call people back now and when I email people back prior to the time that I said I was going to, they appreciate the phone call. They appreciate the fact that I'm responding back. And a lot of times I'll let you in on a secret. When I call them, they're like, oh, I didn't expect a phone call. Thank you so much. And I'm letting them know, I'm putting them in my frame. I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time. Get your shit together when I call you back. And what I mean by that is figure out what you really want from me. And I do this with my mom all the time. I'm like, what is it that you want from me? Like, because she calls me during the middle of the day. And so by doing that, I'm letting them know I'm keeping it in my frame. I'm busy. I'm going to give you the time. You're important to me, but I need you to figure out what it is that you want. And it turns it just the opposite of what you think, that people would get upset. They're actually more appreciative when you call them and you do reply back. And I know it gets a little annoying when it goes back and forth and you get that pop-up, that email, but at least you know I got it because you got the responder back. So
yeah, no, I love that. My wife, I love her to death. And I don't want to use the word trained, but she understands, if she hits me during the day, I'm going to answer the phone. But early in our relationship, we've been together 16 years and I've been an entrepreneur for 10. She understands I'm going to answer the phone, but please make it important because I'm in so many things. And so, I get it. It's a setting an expectation.
I saw that the other day, Brad Lee, which you guys have met Brad before, right?
Yeah, Brad, absolutely.
At BA, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing a
sales training material.
Yes. Yep. He owns Lightspeed VT.
Yep.
He was doing a podcast the other day and his wife called him and he always answers because she doesn't call. She knows he's a busy guy. So he called and he's like, hey, is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, I just want to tell you I love you and I appreciate you, and he's doing a live broadcast. He's like, love, appreciate you too. See you later. And that was it, right? It wasn't a stage thing. Yeah. It was just, hey, I'm thinking about you and just want to say hi. So tell me, D, you've had, and I'm asking you because you've had so much experience with this. Tell me like one of your super successful settlement resolution stories you got. The nurse. You can tell us about the nurse. I remember the nurse one. Right? Well, I think it was a nurse, right? The lady that had cancer. Wasn't she a nurse?
Yes. You talking so many that down through the years. But one that comes to mind, I guess the one that most people would probably say you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Is a guy by the name of Alfredo. I won't say his last name.
Okay.
For confidentiality reasons. But he had $1 million tax debt that we were
$1 million.
It was a little bit more than $1 million.
Okay.
And we were able to go in and settle it for zero.
For zero. He owes the IRS $1 million and you settle it for zero.
So let me tell you what happened. He was a contractor. He was a painter. And he was very, very successful as a painter. But he got sick and couldn't go back to doing his craft. He ended up on Social Security. And as a result, he was getting about $900 a month.
Okay.
After he pays his bills, he had maybe $150 left. How is the IRS going to get $1 million in 72 months based on the statute? Well, the statute is actually 10 years. But how are they going to get, and they can only go out, actually, the new tax code changed. So if we put them on a payment plan, they can only go out 84 months. So they have to collect within that amount of time. But how are they going to get $1 million? The revenue officer said, you know what, just don't even worry about it. She zeroed him out. And he actually referred a couple of other clients to us as a result of his success. So that's one that I can think of. But I can give you story after story after story of how we've been able to help people simply because it's at the end of the day. So let me back up a second. The lady, I said, we took her debt from $22,000, we settled it for $500. It wasn't just based on the fact that she didn't have the ability to pay, because she did. And this is the lady you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
She had breast cancer. And the year that she created the liability was where the debt came from. And so we were able to go in and settle the debt down as to liability is one, down as to collectability is another one. But we settled this one effective tax administration, which basically means prove to us that you had some unique circumstance that prevented you from fulfilling your obligation. And then they'll either approve it or deny it. And we got it approved based on the fact that we submitted her doctor records.
Wow.
Here's the interesting thing, Rondi. So I'm gonna let your audience in on a little secret. Technically, you guys can do this yourself. Technically, right?
You know what else? You can also pull your own teeth.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, it's like you can represent yourself in the court of law or get an attorney, right? You can change your own oil, like you said, or go to the mechanic. So what makes us successful and really good resolution firms successful is we know the rules of the game. We know how to position the packaging to tell the story to get what we need for our clients, act on their behalf. Here's another little secret. The IRS, those agents, for the most part, and I know I'm going to offend some agents, most of them don't want to be there or they're unhappy. And if our team, our resolution team, our CPAs and tax attorneys, whatever, get the wrong one on the phone and we get the answer we don't want, we've trained them, be a bulldog, hang up the phone, call back. The average wait time with the IRS, because I've done it myself, is like 47 minutes. So we've got people on hold on average for 47 minutes. Their job is to wait, talk, figure out if we're going to get what we need for our clients. If not, boom. We offer all the time $1. And you might say, why in the heck are you offering $1? Well, they can either say yes or no. We got a 50-50 shot. If they say yes, we've settled it for $1. And if they say no, we say, okay, go back to the drawing board, fix it, and offer them $5 and start the process all over again. If you want to go and do that yourself, have at it, or hire someone like us.
So I say that all the time. Yeah. If you have all the money in the world, then you buy someone else's time. And if you have all the time in the world, no money, then do it yourself.
Yeah, well, here's the thing though, Rodney, and this is probably where I'm going to disagree. You can do it yourself. They say the person that represents themselves has a fool for a client. And so, especially if you're representing yourself before the IRS where you don't know any tax law, tax code, or tax procedure.
Yeah.
Now, I know how my engine works in my car, but I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah, you put gas in and you press the gas pedal and it goes. That's how you know it works.
That's all I know. But am I going to attempt to go in there and change out the spark plugs and put some new ones in because I backfired? No. I don't know that the spark plugs have to be adjusted to a certain gauge, then put back in there, and then put on there. I don't know how to do all of it. And that's essentially what clients do when they represent themselves before the IRS. It's just like you might as well take a shotgun, put it to your head, and pull the trigger.
You know, you can do it yourself. And I lost you for a second. So I was just nodding my head saying, I agree.
Okay. So
let me back
up. So let me back up.
No, you said don't do it. I mean, they can run the tape back.
Well, at least you may not have heard me, but the listeners, they have still heard.
Yeah, they heard you. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, though, what I was saying is if you represent yourself before the IRS, it's just like you represent yourself in a murder trial. How smart is that?
I agree. I mean, look at, just with my business with credit repair, you can do it yourself. Absolutely. You can do it yourself. How are you going to respond to the bureaus when they send you a letter saying they received a suspicious letter they've turned over to the authorities? And essentially they say, we're going to it's suspicious and we've turned it over to the authorities. What does that mean? That means they threw it in the trash cans, what it means. But you as a consumer don't know that. And you think, I just broke some law. And now this multi-billion-dollar company just gave it to the FBI and they're coming after me. So it can be very scary. And then just like what you guys were saying with like repossessions, I have a 98% deletion rate on a repo on a vehicle. And it's not because I'm doing anything special. It's because I understand the law and what the bank is required to do when they legally repo it. It's not that they can't repo it. It's not that the consumer doesn't owe the money. It's because the bank forgot to do something once it was repoed, and they forget it about 98% of the time. And therefore we can get that repossession removed.
Exactly. It's called on our end collections due process, which means you have to follow a process. The IRS doesn't do that. If they followed the process to the letter of the law to contact you because you owe or you haven't filed, that would put them 5 years behind, and they're already 5 years behind.
Yeah. It's all about just understanding it. You don't get paid. The brain surgeon doesn't get paid for how long it takes for the surgery, or the heart surgeon. It's how long it took them to get to that point. Right.
Absolutely.
That whole Picasso story where he's sitting there and the lady comes up and asks him to draw something. He draws a little thing on the napkin. He's like, that'll be $10,000. She's like, it only took you a minute. He's like, no, it took me, 50 years to be able to do that. Right. So you told us some of the success stories, and I know you got thousands of them. When doesn't it work?
About 2% of the time, actually.
Yeah. And is it because the IRS won't work with you, or is it because the clients just don't work with you?
A combination of both. So understanding that we deal with the world's greatest procrastinators, manipulators, liars, cheaters, and thieves, the world's greatest. Most of those people are procrastinators, just procrastinate for whatever reason. We need documents. We've already made contact with the IRS. We've been requesting documents. As a matter of fact, we have right now a lady where the offer in compromise is going to be accepted by the IRS. We need her to respond and can't get a hold of her. In those situations, because we only have so much time.
Yeah.
We only have so much time. Or there are times where we can't get the IRS to give us exactly what we wanted, but we were still able to put them in a better position. And sometimes the client doesn't see it. Oh, well, I wanted you to take my debt from 50,000 to 500. Well, how, Mr. Smith, when it's showing right here, you have $1,500 left over every month, you have some ability to pay the IRS. Now, let me say this. I am personally offended when someone deliberately doesn't pay their taxes. Now, if they take advantage of the tax law, I'm cool with that. But to deliberately not pay when I pay my fair share, you're driving on roads you hadn't paid for, police protecting you, school teachers teaching your kids, no, pay your fair share. I have to pay mine. Now, yes, I take advantage of the tax law too, because the money I made last year compared to what I paid, hands down, is considerably a lot less.
It's your moral responsibility to pay your taxes. I mean, it's the law, and it's your responsibility. Nobody cares about your money more than you do, right? And so it's your responsibility to figure out how to legally pay less. I was on a clubhouse not too long ago, and these guys were in there talking about Bitcoin and how they're making all this money and they're not paying taxes. And it was my turn to come around. I'm like, that's illegal, guys. That's called tax evasion. That's not. And they're like, no, you don't have to pay taxes on Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, you do. You're making money. Oh no, but I'm making it. I did it through my offshore account. I'm like, it doesn't work that way, guys. Tax evasion. You still got to pay it. So most of the time, though, you're saying this works. About 98% of the time, it works. I can appreciate what you're saying with the clients that aren't getting you what they need. You know, thousands of people hire me, fix their credit, and we ask for 3 documents. That's really all we ask for our clients: driver's license, social security card, utility bill. 20% of the people that hire me never give us a driver's license. They give us the enrollment fee and we never hear back from them. And I can't do anything without the driver's license. And then a large majority never provide us with address, utility bill, or social security card. And it's like sending us to war with no bullets. We got a bayonet, we got the butt of our gun, but it's not going to be as successful if we had some bullets. So I can appreciate what you're saying with people procrastinating, because I know they do. You know, we have
one of the things we have to keep in mind, though, in that 98% figure, those are 98% of the people that we take on. Let me remind you, when we do the needs analysis, it's our policy to not take on people unless we believe we have an opportunity to help them.
Yeah.
There are companies out there, and tax resolution firms are all over the place. Yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. And they get $1,200 or whatever the case may be. And sorry, can't help you. And then they just play the numbers game. We don't do that. That's one of the things that when we were starting this company together, and I had to learn from zero, I said, all right, D, because you've got so much experience, you worked for another resolution firm and you had your own. What is the biggest thing we need to be aware of and the biggest pothole we need to avoid? And that was, it's relatively easy with the right system to get leads. And with a good sales team, you can close those leads. But the biggest problem we need to be aware of is fulfillment, because leads, closes, and then you have to do something, right? And so there's too many firms out there that are taking people's money and then sitting on it and then not doing anything. And so oftentimes we make sure we train our people, and D is an excellent sales trainer, on a weekly and monthly basis, reiterating not only the script, we control the script because we don't want them to get off the script, not because we think they're robots. We don't want them to say anything that we don't want them to write a check their butt can't cash.
Yeah.
And our butts don't want to cash. Right. So just to bring it to perspective, that 98% includes based on people that we've taken on. So,
and to Rondi, you know, I train even our support staff, our resolutions team to fight. We don't just lay down just because the IRS said, well, no, you can't take this deduction. Okay, for example, we had a client in Houston. The flood came and flooded out his house. It was $30,000 in repairs that he had pictures for and receipts for the material and the work that was done to fix his house that he put on his tax return, that the auditor just denied the entire deduction for no reason. He was going around and around with her for 1 year before he hired us. When he hired us, we made her prove, according to the tax code, where he could not take this deduction. At the end of the day, he ended up getting a $6,000 refund, and she was pissed because we didn't give up. It took us another year fighting with her, though, but we hung in there long enough to see the results because we already knew. No, he had the legal right to take the deduction based upon the man had pictures and receipts.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of receipts, have you guys heard of, it used to be called Receipt Bank. Now it's called Dext, D-E-X-T. You guys ever heard of that?
No.
It is an app. It's like $20. It was $250 for the year, $25 a month if you do a monthly thing. And you basically take your receipt, you just take a picture of it and uploads right into QuickBooks. You can tag it. You can add a customer name to it. You can put a little description. It's badass, and I'm a big receipts guy. And it's because if you get audited, you better have the receipts because the statements don't count.
That's huge.
That's exactly right.
That's
Thousands
something I
of
had to
receipts in a
learn.
box, and they
Yeah.
fade out, right?
That's
They
what I
do
had
say
to
that.
learn. When I came in, I had my Amex. I'm thinking, I'm sorry, D. I'm like, this is me. I have my Amex. So I put everything on my Amex, and then I tag it and da 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 da, and so on and so forth. And our CFO said, "Hey, that don't work.
Yeah.
So you guys need to write down, take the receipt, blah 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 blah." I even caught D. We had a lunch meeting today with a good friend of ours, and I said it was a business lunch, and I said, "D, write his name, write my name, get it to to Michelle. Make sure we keep it tight." So.
Yeah, I was going to say Dext. So what we recommend is TaxBot. I don't know if you heard of TaxBot, but
Okay.
TaxBot does the exact same thing. You take a picture of your receipt. It'll connect to QuickBooks and your bank account. And they just came out with this unique device. I just got an email today. It's called TaxBot Voice that I'm going to put on your sun visor. And there's a P and a B for personal and business. So when you're driving, if it's personal miles, you push it. If it's business miles, you push it. And it'll track it in the app itself.
Nice. Yeah, it's really important that you keep receipts, and specifically, most importantly, rather, if you're a W-2 employee, because the likelihood of you being audited is extremely higher than the likelihood of me being audited. Isn't it like 10,000 to 1? Is that it?
It's big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a number of different ways you can get audited. There's the random audit, and then there's the audit where, this tax return is inconsistent with the tax return that you just filed.
Okay.
So there's a plethora of different ways you can get audited. It's not bad to go through an audit. It's only bad when you don't have the support.
Yeah. I got audited in 2012, either 2012 or 2013 for 2009 return. And, it's an audit, sucks, but I ended up okay. And, the issue was the auditor, whoever's doing the taxes, didn't understand how real estate worked. And he saw millions of dollars coming in because I owned the brokerage. And at the end of the day, I didn't make a lot of money, and he didn't realize that I was on 100% contract with all my agents. I had 26 real estate agents, and they paid me $500 per transaction, and they got 100% of their commission. And he just didn't understand how that real estate world worked. And once the tax attorney explained that, It's like, oh, so your client didn't make $5 million? No, he made $500 per transaction. And the rest of that money went to the agents, and they all got 1099s, but he just didn't quite understand it. So you get audited, like you said, Dee, for multiple different reasons. But I just want to button that up, that if you are a business owner, you need to write on your receipt what it was for, who you're with, what you talked about, take a picture of it, get an app. What's that? TaxBot, you said?
TaxBot, TaxBot.
Okay, TaxBot.
TaxBot.
Yeah, all of these. I really like the one I have, because I also get, you get the receipts via email, and then you just have to download the PDF and then upload it to QuickBooks. Now I literally just forward it as a specific email for me, and I just hit forward. It's really cool. They download the attachment through their AI software, look at the name, categorize it for me, and then put it in for review for my bookkeeper, and she just accepts it or changes the category. And then if I'm with the client, which almost every time I go out to dinner or lunch, I'm with the client or a partner, affiliate partner. And so I have all their names because they're in QuickBooks. So I can just click their name and attach them to it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So guys, I appreciate your time. I know you got an appointment coming up, John. What is your ideal client? If they're listening or watching right now, describe the ideal client.
Okay, so tax problems cross all genres of people, but our ideal client is a guy, 50, divorced, 2 kids, independent contractor, some previous drug or alcohol abuse, maybe some previous incarceration. But that's our idea. That guy that's been divorced, that's getting back on his feet.
Okay. You want to add to that, John?
Yeah, I'm gonna add to that as the marketing guy. When we identify demographics and whatever, our ideal client is someone that owes money that we believe we can help on a big, broad thing. But in actuality, it's usually someone 40 plus, only because it takes some time to amass a certain amount of debt that it would be cost effective to hire a third party to help with. Usually they'll have kids, because there has to be something that gets them to move. Not everyone receives a letter, a threatening letter. Sometimes it is, I want to buy a home, or I want to help my kids, or I want to do something like that. And you have to provide your tax returns, right? Some life moment has happened. And so again, I'll reiterate, someone that we can help, but it ranges from a lot of people. If you have a back tax debt and you need some help, we'll do a search and check and see if we can help you out. And we'll offer you a fair price to help you for the service,
Individual or business.
Yep.
Yeah. So really, ideal clients is someone who owes the IRS, that had a speed bump. They're trying to recover, trying to get back on their feet. Maybe they want to buy a house or pass a background check, or there's a reason. It's kind of like my clients. Nobody hires me because they want to fix their credit. They hire me because someone said no.
Yep.
And they were hoping. And that's the difference with credit and taxes. You go 7-10 years, it automatically drops off, and it kind of fixes itself. You just basically start over. Taxes, it never goes away, right? There's no statute of limitations on the money you owe.
There's a statute of limitations, but it's once the debt has been assessed. Okay, so the statute of limitations, as far as federal is concerned, is 10 years. It varies, different from state to state. So like in the state of Georgia, it's 7 years. But what happens is, the reason why it doesn't go away, because when it gets down to the 9th year, oftentimes they'll file for an additional 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
They reassess it.
That's exactly right.
And I think also in there, that 10 years, if I remember right, from my tax attorney was telling me that with the bankruptcy, because you can file bankruptcy on past tax debt or tax debt, but there's a lot of stipulations with that. And he was saying something like, it's got to be so many years with no collection activity. And if they send you a letter that is deemed collection activity, and it
Oh, yeah.
extends the statute of limitations, and it removes the ability to file bankruptcy on it every time they send you a letter. So they send it once a year, it just puts it off forever. And I
Now,
think
Ronnie,
is it 3 or 4 years on the bankruptcy code?
It's 3 years. Let me ask you a question, because I heard you mention something about they were getting ready to bring tax liens back to the credit reports.
Yeah. So there was a lawsuit that all 50 state attorney generals got involved with, and they filed lawsuits against Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion for reporting public records, including judgments and tax liens, on a credit report without verifying the information to be accurate.
Okay, got it.
And so what the credit bureaus would do is they'd send in college kids into these courthouses, scan documents, and then just upload it. And, you know, somebody like John, super easy to get a merged file because John's a fairly common name. Deaphalis is going to be a little bit more difficult. Rondi's going to be harder than that. And so what would happen is John from LA, John Chris or Christensen from LA owes the IRS $1 million, and John Cristadoro from Atlanta doesn't owe the money at all, but because the names are similar, it gets merged. Or Jane Smith from Atlanta, Georgia, and there's a Jane Smith from Atlanta, Idaho, which there actually is a town not too far. It's got 2 houses in it. It's got like 4 people that live there. Atlanta, Idaho owes the money in the IRS. And so it merges, and it'd be on both people's reports. And there was no verification that it was an accurate tax lien. And so all 50 state attorney generals got together. They filed this big lawsuit. The credit bureau settled, paid out billions of dollars, said we'll never do it again. And we're going to get our act right. Even though the law has been in place since 1970, saying it has to be accurate, they said, we'll stop reporting tax liens for a year until we can get this figured out. Well, that lawsuit, that settlement expired in 19. So December 31st, 2018 expired. So as of January 1st, 2019, you can legally start reporting it again. I shouldn't say legally. The settlement has ended. So as of right now, they are not reporting public records or tax liens.
Right.
I think they will as soon as this COVID stuff is behind us. I think the only reason they didn't start, because they were going to start last year, I think it's because COVID. And there's such a disaster right now with the credit reporting, and there's 33 million people in America that haven't paid their mortgage.
Wow.
So there's all kind of tax problems. And so they're trying to figure this whole thing out. But I think within a year, you'll see tax liens and public records back on credit reports. They'll figure out a way to verify it with Social Security numbers. So, but here's what people don't realize is just because it's not on the credit report doesn't mean it doesn't exist. They just pull a public records report. You go to LexisNexis.com, you put in the social, hit submit, and for 2-3 pennies, you can get a public record report and a lien report. And that's what these title companies and mortgage companies do. They just pull it a different.
Yep. Because I have several clients who are attempting to buy a home, and because they have a tax problem, it doesn't show up on their credit report. Then they call us and want us to work magic overnight. They got the overnight money down, and then they got to close in 30 days. And I, have to be realistic and say, well, that's not going to happen.
That's funny. I've been talking about my mom a lot on this show because it's been a lot for me lately. It's funny. She's been blowing up my phone, John. And I said, Mom, you haven't filed for 7 years. What is the deal? She's like, I want to buy a house. I'm like, I told you this is going to be 3 to 6 months process. And it's been 2 weeks and you're blowing up my phone. Like, calm down and wait for John and Dee's company to call you. And, she's calling me instead of you guys. I got to give them your cell phone number.
You know what you should do? You should give our customer support number. We have a team of experts standing by ready to help.
I will definitely do that. Yeah. Hey guys, it's been great. Anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just appreciative of your time, and I appreciate you having us on the show. And the fact that you're trying to help consumers in a multitude of different ways manage their either existing wealth or build wealth and things. I think you're doing a great service. And if in fact they have tax problems, we can help them as well.
How about you, D?
I just want to say again, thank you for having us on the show. We got to come back. Got to do this again.
Yeah.
And,
I'm looking forward to going to Atlanta, spend some time with you guys and checking out that studio you guys are building out.
Absolutely. We're actually in the process. We don't know yet, but we're in the process of working out a potential radio show on one of the major radio stations here. And we'll broadcast live, and we'll absolutely have you on.
Yeah.
Because you know a lot of stuff, dude.
I'd love to do that. You know, I was telling you, John, earlier, D, that I'm purposely trying not to travel. And the more I try not to, the more I do it. Like I got 3 trips right now in April. One to Chicago, one to Miami, or to, Miami, and then one to Vegas. So I'm trying, the more I try not to travel, it seems like the more I'm forced to travel, if you will.
Murphy's
Need a
Law.
bigger jet.
There you go.
I mean, rolling with Ed Milet and his big old thing. I saw he had a video where he released recently. It was 3 days in the life of Ed Milet, and it was just like back to back cities. He's got a shower on his jet now. He's got a bed. He's got a chef on there. So I was like, well, this makes sense. You know, you just go from city to city.
Right.
Take your showers. Your crew flies all night, and you're sleeping. So,
Makes sense.
and it's tax deductible, right?
Boom, as long as he's writing it down on a receipt.
That's right. Hey, everybody, I appreciate you listening to the show and watching here on YouTube. If you know someone that has a tax problem, or if maybe you have a tax problem and you want to resolve it, call my good friends, John and Deaphalis. Go to rondylambert.com/alliance. That's rondylambert.com/alliance. There's information there about them, and to get a free consultation to talk to one of their professionally trained experts on this tax resolutions and what they can do to help you. Just fill out that form at rondylambert.com/alliance. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, or any of your podcast apps, that link will be in the show notes. So just scroll down a little bit, click on that, and you'll learn all about John and Dee and all that, how you can get in touch with them. So thank you guys again, John and Deaphalis. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Take care, Ron.
Thank you, sir.
I will see you at BA.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Let's do it.